She thought she was having triplets. Delivery room staff were stunned by final count. How many babies does she deliver? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The delivery room hummed with a tense rhythm, the beeping monitors blending with the muffled voices of nurses. Amelia Porter clenched her husband James's hand, her knuckles turning white as another wave of contractions rolled through her. Her 5-year-old daughter Lily waited anxiously in the hospital waiting room with her grandparents, unaware of the monumental event about to unfold. Amelia had prepared for triplets. The ultrasounds, the appointments, and the hours spent poring over baby names had all revolved around the certainty of 3. 3 heartbeats, 3 car seats, 3 bundles of joy. Yet something had changed in the final weeks of her pregnancy. The doctors had noticed unusual activity in her womb, but no one suspected what was about to transpire. "Just breathe, honey," James encouraged, his voice steady despite the sweat on his brow. He was doing his best to stay strong for her, but even he could sense that something about this delivery wasn't going as planned. "I am breathing," Amelia snapped through clenched teeth, then immediately softened. "I'm sorry. This feels different. It's too much, it's..." Her words were cut off by a guttural groan as another contraction gripped her. "Okay, Amelia, we're ready to start," Dr. Hayes said, stepping into position. The lead obstetrician had delivered hundreds of babies, but even she looked uncharacteristically cautious tonight. "This might take a little longer than we expected, but you're strong, and we've got a great team here." Amelia nodded, sweat dripping down her temples. She had endured a long and complicated pregnancy, marked by relentless nausea, unusual swelling, and episodes of extreme fatigue. But she had pushed through, driven by her love for her growing family. She never imagined that the final stretch would be the most challenging part. The first baby came quickly, a tiny boy with a piercing cry that filled the room with relief. "Baby A is out," announced one of the nurses, holding the infant up for a brief moment before whisking him away to be cleaned and assessed. Amelia barely had time to process the moment before another contraction hit, and baby B arrived, a little girl, her wails just as fierce as her brother's. James kissed Amelia's forehead, his voice trembling with emotion. "You're amazing, Amelia. 2 down, 1 to go." But as Dr. Hayes prepared for the third delivery, her expression shifted. "Hold on, there's another heartbeat. This isn't over." Amelia's head snapped up. "What do you mean another? I thought there were only 3. "So did we," Dr. Hayes admitted, her tone both calm and urgent. "But it seems like we might have missed something in the earlier scans. Let's keep going." What followed was a blur of chaos and disbelief. Baby C arrived, then baby D. Each time, the medical team exchanged bewildered glances, their movements becoming increasingly hurried as they worked to manage the unexpected situation. By the time baby F was delivered, the room was buzzing with incredulous energy. James looked pale, his free hand gripping the back of a chair for support. How many are there?" "I don't know," Dr. Hayes said honestly. "But we're not done yet." Amelia's exhaustion was palpable, but she refused to give up. With every push, another baby emerged. Baby G, baby H, baby I. The delivery room staff worked in overdrive, calling for additional incubators and medical supplies. Nurses darted in and out, their faces a mixture of awe and determination. By the time baby L was delivered, Amelia could barely lift her head. Is that it?" she croaked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Hayes hesitated, her stethoscope pressed to Amelia's abdomen. Then she looked up, her eyes wide. "There's one more." The room fell silent for a moment, save for the soft cries of the 12 newborns who had already made their dramatic entrance. James stared at his wife, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Amelia closed her eyes, summoning the last reserves of her strength. With a final, gut-wrenching push, baby M entered the world. The room erupted into applause and cheers, the sheer magnitude of the event finally breaking through the professional composure of the medical team. 13 babies, 13 perfect tiny humans. As Amelia collapsed back onto the bed, Tears streaming down her face, James leaned down and kissed her with a mixture of awe and adoration. "You did it, Amelia. You're incredible. I don't even have words." The media frenzy began almost immediately. News of the unprecedented delivery spread like wildfire, and within hours, the Porters found themselves at the center of an international spectacle. Offers poured in, television interviews, book deals, sponsorships for baby products. But amidst the whirlwind of attention, Amelia and James focused on one thing: their family. The weeks that followed were a blur of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and logistical challenges. The couple converted their entire living room into a nursery, complete with color-coded cribs and an industrial-sized diaper pail. Lily adjusted surprisingly well to her new role as a big sister, though she frequently reminded her parents that she was still their first baby. Despite the chaos, the Porters discovered an unexpected silver lining. Their story resonated with people around the world. Families from all walks of life reached out to share their support and admiration. Amelia and James decided to channel their newfound fame into something meaningful. They launched a YouTube channel, The Porter 13, where they documented their journey and offered candid insights into the joys and challenges of raising such a unique family. The channel quickly gained millions of subscribers, with viewers tuning in to see everything from the baby's first smiles to the logistical acrobatics of loading 13 car seats into a custom van. Amelia and James approached their new roles as public figures with authenticity and humor, endearing themselves to audiences far and wide. But beneath the surface, complications loomed. The physical and emotional toll of raising 13 infants began to strain their marriage, their finances, and their health. Amelia struggled with postpartum depression, while James wrestled with the pressure of providing for such a large family. And as the media attention intensified, the couple faced new challenges: intrusive paparazzi, public criticism, and the constant fear of being exploited. Their lives had become a spectacle, but at what cost? The cracks began to show when the family's first live television appearance ended in disaster. The babies, now 6 months old, were brought on stage in color-coordinated outfits to coo and giggle for the cameras. It was supposed to be a lighthearted segment, but reality had other plans. Baby D started wailing midway through the interview, setting off a chain reaction among her siblings. Amelia tried to soothe one while balancing another on her hip, but the chaos only escalated. The host's attempts at humor fell flat, and James looked like he was ready to walk off stage. When they finally made it home that evening, Amelia burst into tears. "I can't do this, James," she sobbed, sinking onto the couch. "I can't keep pretending like everything is perfect. It's not. It's too much." James knelt in front of her, his own eyes red-rimmed from exhaustion. "I know it's hard, but we're doing this for them," he said, gesturing toward the nursery where the babies were finally asleep. "The money from the show, the sponsorships, it's the only way we can afford to give them what they need." Amelia shook her head. "But at what cost? We barely have time for Lily anymore. And us? When was the last time we talked about anything other than diapers and formulas?" James didn't have an answer. The truth was, their relationship had become secondary to survival. The love that had once carried them through life's ups and downs now felt buried under layers of stress and obligation. Things took a darker turn when Amelia started experiencing unexplained health issues. She had always been resilient, but the demands of carrying and delivering 13 babies had taken a toll on her body. She began losing weight rapidly, her energy levels plummeting to dangerous lows. After several visits to specialists, she was diagnosed with severe anemia and postpartum cardiomyopathy, a rare condition that weakened her heart. "You need to slow down," her doctor warned during a follow-up appointment. "Your body has been through a trauma most people can't even imagine. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of your family." The diagnosis shook James to his core. He had always seen Amelia as an unstoppable force, but now he realized just how fragile she had become. Determined to ease her burden, he made the difficult decision to step back from their growing media commitments. They canceled several high-profile appearances, despite the financial hit it would bring. But the backlash was swift. Their sponsors, eager to capitalize on the family's fame, began pulling out. Online critics accused the Porters of exploiting their children for profit, while others questioned their ability to provide a stable environment for such a large brood. The pressure mounted, and James found himself spiraling into his own struggle with anxiety. Lily, ever perceptive despite her young age, began acting out. She missed the quiet evenings with her parents, the bedtime stories, and the undivided attention she once took for granted. "Why don't you love me anymore?" she blurted one night during a particularly tense moment at the dinner table. Her words hit Amelia like a punch to the gut. "Oh, Lily, no," she said, pulling her daughter into a hug. "We love you so much. You're the reason we're trying so hard. We didn't expect life to get this complicated." But the complications only grew. As the babies approached their first birthday, they began developing at different rates, raising concerns about their health and development. A few of them required specialized therapies, adding to the already overwhelming list of responsibilities. The couple's savings dwindled rapidly, and even with the help of James's parents, who had moved in to assist, the household often felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Then came the lawsuit. A former producer from their short-lived reality show filed a legal complaint, accusing the Porters of breaching their contract by backing out of the series. The media latched onto the story, painting the family as unreliable and ungrateful. "America's miracle family faces major scandal," one headline read. The scrutiny was relentless, and for the first time, Amelia began questioning whether sharing their journey with the world had been a mistake. The breaking point came during a quiet evening at home. James was feeding baby H, while Amelia struggled to coax baby J into taking her bottle. Lily was sprawled on the floor, coloring in a book but glancing up every so often with a wistful look. The air felt heavy, the silence punctuated only by the occasional whimper or coo from one of the babies. "I can't keep living like this," Amelia said suddenly, her voice trembling. "We need help, real help. Not a camera crew or a sponsorship deal, but something that will actually make things better." James set the bottle down and met her gaze. For the first time in months, he saw the flicker of the woman he had fallen in love with. "You're right," he said softly. "We've been trying to do it all on our own, but we can't. Not anymore." The next day, they reached out to a nonprofit organization specializing in large families with unique circumstances. The support they received was a lifeline: professional nannies, access to medical specialists, and even financial counseling to help them regain stability. For the first time in over a year, the Porters felt like they could breathe again. But the journey was far from over. Even with help, the challenges of raising 13 children remained daunting. And as the family began to rebuild their lives, they faced a new question: how to balance the extraordinary with the ordinary? Could they reclaim the simple joys of family life while still embracing the unique story that had brought them together? The answer, they realized, would not come easily. But together, they were determined to find it. The calm didn't last long. The 13 babies, though adorable, had grown into toddlers, energetic, mischievous, and utterly relentless. The once orderly household turned into a whirlwind of activity. Amelia and James quickly discovered that wrangling a baker's dozen of toddlers was a whole new kind of chaos. Despite the help of nannies and volunteers, their days began before dawn and ended well past midnight. Meals were an event in themselves, with high chairs lining the dining room like a cafeteria. Feeding time was a mix of flailing arms, spilled bowls, and more food on the floor than in the kids' mouths. Potty training loomed on the horizon like an insurmountable mountain, and Amelia often joked that they should invest in industrial-grade wipes. But it wasn't just the daily grind that wore on them. It was the looming sense that something bigger was coming. As the toddlers grew, so did their personalities, each unique and vibrant. But alongside the joy of seeing their children develop, Amelia and James couldn't ignore the mounting medical concerns. A few of the kids had developmental delays, and one had been diagnosed with a mild heart condition that required ongoing monitoring. "We need to be proactive about this," Amelia said one night, her voice tinged with worry. She and James sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by stacks of paperwork, medical reports, therapy plans, and bills that seemed to multiply overnight. What if there's more we're missing? 13 kids are a lot to keep track of, even with help. James rubbed his temples, exhaustion etched into his face. We're doing the best we can, Amelia, but you're right. Maybe it's time to bring in a specialist, a team even. We can't afford to let anything slip through the cracks. Their decision to consult with a pediatric team was another turning point. The experts conducted thorough evaluations, identifying areas where the toddlers needed extra support. While some findings were routine, others were more serious. Amelia and James learned that baby G had a sensory processing disorder and that baby K showed early signs of a speech delay. These discoveries, though daunting, gave them a roadmap to address their children's needs. But the challenges didn't stop there. The financial strain of specialized therapies and medical treatments pushed the family to their limits. Their once thriving YouTube channel, The Porter 13, had seen a decline in viewership as public interest waned. The offers from sponsors and media outlets slowed, leaving the Porters scrambling to make ends meet. In desperation, they decided to film a heartfelt update, hoping to reconnect with their audience. Amelia sat in front of the camera, her face raw and unfiltered. "We've always tried to be transparent with you," she began, her voice steady despite the emotions simmering beneath. "This journey has been beautiful, but it's also been the hardest thing we've ever done. We love our children more than anything, but we're struggling, and we want you to know that it's okay to admit when things are hard." The video struck a chord. Fans flooded the comments with messages of support, donations poured in, and their subscriber count began to climb again. But with the renewed attention came the inevitable downside: criticism. Social media lit up with debates about the Porters' parenting choices, their finances, and whether their decision to share their lives online was exploitative. The tipping point came when an anonymous online post accused the family of faking the severity of their challenges to garner sympathy. The post went viral, and within days, Amelia found herself at the center of a media storm. "Are we really doing more harm than good?" she asked James one night, her voice breaking. "No," he said firmly. "We're sharing our reality. It's messy, it's imperfect, but it's real. And if even one family feels less alone because of what we've shared, then it's worth it." Amelia wasn't convinced, but she knew they couldn't retreat now. The only way forward was through. As the toddler's second birthday approached, the Porters decided to take a break from the spotlight. They shut down their YouTube channel temporarily, focusing instead on rebuilding their lives away from the public eye. They moved to a quieter neighborhood, closer to James's parents, who had become an invaluable support system. The shift brought unexpected peace. Without the pressure of constant filming, Amelia and James rediscovered the joy in the small moments. Watching Lily teach her siblings to finger paint, cheering on first steps, and celebrating milestones that once felt impossible. Their marriage, though scarred by the struggles they had endured, began to heal. But just as they started to find their footing, another complication arose. One evening, while Amelia was bathing the toddlers, she felt an intense pain in her chest. It was unlike anything she'd experienced before, sharp, radiating, and accompanied by a wave of dizziness. James rushed her to the hospital, where they learned that her postpartum cardiomyopathy had worsened. "You're pushing yourself too hard," her doctor said, his tone stern but sympathetic. "Your heart can't handle this pace. You need to rest, real rest, or you're risking your life." The news devastated Amelia. She had spent the past 2 years pouring every ounce of herself into her family, and now she was being told that it wasn't enough, that she wasn't enough. For the first time, she allowed herself to break down, sobbing into James's arms as he held her tightly. "We'll figure it out," he whispered, though his own fear was palpable. "We always do." The next few months were a lesson in letting go. Amelia stepped back from her daily responsibilities, entrusting more to the nannies and volunteers who had become like extended family. She focused on her recovery, learning to accept help in ways that once felt impossible. And slowly, she began to heal. Not just physically, but emotionally. Life for the Porters was never simple, but it was theirs. And as Amelia sat in the backyard one evening, watching her 13 children chase fireflies while James grilled dinner, she realized that their story wasn't about perfection. It was about resilience, love, and the imperfect beauty of a life lived together. The peaceful backyard scene became a cherished memory for Amelia in the months that followed. But the challenges continued to evolve. The toddlers, now approaching their third birthday, were full of energy and curiosity. Each day brought a new set of challenges: toddler tantrums, sibling squabbles, and the constant balancing act of meeting individual needs within such a large family. Amelia's recovery remained slow but steady. She had learned to pace herself, delegating tasks and embracing the village of support surrounding her. James had taken on a more hands-on role at home, stepping away from his full-time job to focus on the children and manage the household. While this decision brought financial strain, it also deepened the bond between him and the kids, especially Lily, who thrived under his attention. But as they settled into a new rhythm, an unexpected opportunity came knocking. A documentary filmmaker reached out, expressing interest in telling the Porters' story, not as a sensationalized reality show, but as an in-depth exploration of resilience, family, and the complexities of their unique journey. After much discussion, Amelia and James decided to move forward, setting clear boundaries to ensure their children's well-being came first. The documentary, 13 Miracles, became a labor of love. It featured intimate moments, like Amelia reading bedtime stories while surrounded by a sea of tiny heads, James cooking breakfast with Lily as his assistant, and the couple navigating the logistical puzzle of taking all 13 kids to a park. It also didn't shy away from the harder truths: the exhaustion, the medical challenges, and the toll it had taken on their marriage. When the documentary premiered, the response was overwhelming. Critics praised its authenticity, and audiences were moved by the raw honesty of the Porters' story. For Amelia and James, it felt like a redemption of sorts, a chance to reclaim their narrative on their own terms. But even as their public image improved, their private life remained a constant juggling act. The older toddlers were beginning preschool, a monumental milestone that brought both excitement and apprehension. For the first time, they would be apart from their siblings and under the care of strangers. Amelia worried endlessly. Would they thrive in a classroom setting? Would they feel overwhelmed? Would the teachers understand their unique needs? The first day of preschool was a circus. Loading 13 backpacks into the van, ensuring each child was dressed and fed, and navigating the curious stares of other parents left Amelia and James frazzled. But when they dropped the kids off and watched them tentatively explore the colorful classroom, their pride outweighed their nerves. Back at home, the quiet was almost unsettling. "Is this what it feels like to breathe?" James joked, collapsing onto the couch. Amelia laughed, her first genuine laugh in weeks. "I forgot what silence sounded like." But the quiet didn't last. By mid-afternoon, the school called with an incident report. Baby J had bitten another child, and Baby F had climbed onto a bookshelf, refusing to come down. Amelia sighed as she hung up the phone. Well, so much for a smooth start. The preschool transition brought a mix of triumphs and setbacks. Some of the kids thrived in their new environment, forming friendships and hitting developmental milestones. Others struggled, requiring additional support and adjustments. Amelia and James quickly realized that their role as advocates for their children had only just begun. Amid the whirlwind of raising toddlers, they also faced another challenge: reconnecting with Lily. The past 3 years had been so consumed by the babies that their eldest often felt overlooked. Recognizing this, Amelia and James made a concerted effort to carve out one-on-one time with her. James started coaching her soccer team, while Amelia instituted a weekly Mommy-Daughter Day, where they baked cookies, went shopping, or simply talked. One evening, during one of these outings, Lily confided something that stopped Amelia in her tracks. "Sometimes, I wish it was just me again," she said softly, staring at her milkshake. "I love my brothers and sisters, but I miss when it was just us." Amelia's heart ached. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, reaching across the table to take Lily's hand. "I know it's been hard, and I miss those days too. But you're so important to us, and we'll always make time for you. You're the one who started this whole adventure." Lily smiled, her expression lightening. "Yeah, I guess I am pretty special." As the months turned into years, the Porters continued to navigate the challenges of their extraordinary life. They faced more medical hurdles, behavioral challenges, and the inevitable chaos of raising so many children. but they also celebrated countless victories. First words, first steps, and the unbreakable bond that formed between the siblings. The documentary's success brought unexpected opportunities, including speaking engagements and collaborations with nonprofits supporting families with multiples. James and Amelia used their platform to advocate for better resources and support systems, channeling their struggles into something meaningful. Through it all, one truth remained. Their family was their greatest accomplishment. 13 lives, each unique and beautiful, born from love and sustained by resilience. And as Amelia watched her children run through the yard one evening, their laughter filling the air, she felt a profound sense of peace. Life would never be simple, but it was rich, vibrant, and filled with more love than she had ever thought possible. And in the end, that was all that mattered. As the years passed, the Porters' household remained a hub of noise, love, and relentless activity. The 13 children, now entering their elementary school years, brought a new set of challenges and joys. With their individual personalities blossoming, Amelia and James found themselves navigating the complexities of parenting on a scale they never could have imagined. The logistical hurdles of schooling were immense. 13 backpacks to pack, 13 lunches to prepare, and 13 schedules to manage meant every day began with a whirlwind of activity. The family's mornings resembled an organized chaos, with James acting as the drill sergeant and Amelia as the peacemaker. "Where's my red folder?" shouted Baby L, now known simply as Leo, while Baby F, Freya, complained that her shoes were too boring for art class. Lily, now 10 years old, had become an indispensable big sister, often stepping in to help with last-minute emergencies. Despite the madness, the Porters had found a rhythm, albeit one that often left them collapsing into bed at the end of the day. But life wasn't without its trials. Amelia's health, though stable, required ongoing management. Regular checkups and a strict regimen of medications ensured her heart condition remained under control, but the limitations it imposed weighed on her. She often felt guilty for not being able to participate in every school event or family outing, though James was always quick to remind her of all she did accomplish. "You're the glue holding us together," he told her one evening as they sat on the porch, watching the sunset after the kids were finally asleep. "Don't ever forget that." Amelia smiled, though doubt lingered in her heart. She often questioned whether she was giving enough of herself to each child. With 13 kids, it was impossible to provide the individual attention each deserved, and she worried about the long-term effects. Her fears were put to the test when Leo began struggling in school. His teacher called a meeting to discuss his difficulties with focus and his tendency to act out in class. "He's a bright kid," she said, her tone sympathetic. "But he's clearly vying for attention and it's affecting his work." The conversation was a wake-up call. Amelia and James realized that while they were doing their best, some of their children were inevitably falling through the cracks. They decided to enlist the help of a family therapist who worked with them to develop strategies for addressing each child's unique needs. The therapist introduced the concept of special time, dedicated one-on-one moments between a parent and a child. It was a daunting task, given their numbers, but Amelia and James committed to it wholeheartedly. Each week they scheduled dates with their kids, whether it was a trip to the park, a game night, or simply sitting down to talk. To their surprise, the impact was immediate. Leo, after a few weeks of regular one-on-one time with James, began showing improvement in school. Freya, who had been prone to dramatic outbursts, became more cooperative after her weekly baking sessions with Amelia. Even Lily, who had long felt overshadowed by her younger siblings, seemed more confident and content. But just as the Porters began to feel they were hitting their stride, another storm loomed on the horizon. Amelia received a call from her doctor after a routine checkup. The results weren't what they had hoped. Her heart condition, while not critical, had shown signs of deterioration. "We need to be cautious," the doctor advised. "It's not an emergency, but I strongly recommend scaling back on stress wherever possible." Amelia broke the news to James that evening. His face fell, but he quickly masked his worry. "We'll get through this," he said, pulling her into a hug. "We always do." But scaling back on stress was easier said than done in a household of 15. Amelia found herself struggling to balance her health needs with the demands of their family. James, determined to ease her burden, took on even more responsibility, but the weight of it all began to show. The once inseparable couple started to argue more frequently, their exhaustion boiling over into sharp words and tense silences. One particularly heated argument occurred late one night after James had forgotten to pick up supplies for a school project. "I can't do everything, Amelia," he snapped, his voice louder than he intended. "And I can," she shot back, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm doing my best, James, but it feels like it's never enough." Their argument was interrupted by a small voice from the hallway. "Are you and Daddy mad at each other?" Freya asked, clutching her blanket. The sight of their daughter broke the tension. James knelt down and scooped Freya into his arms. "No, sweetheart," he said softly. "Mommy and I are just tired. But we love each other, and we love you." The moment was a turning point. That night, after the kids were asleep, Amelia and James sat down to talk. Not about logistics or schedules, but about their fears, their frustrations, and their unwavering love for one another. "We can't do this alone," Amelia admitted. "We need to lean on the people who've offered to help. Family, friends, even professionals. We don't have to prove anything to anyone." James nodded. "You're right. It's not about being perfect. It's about being here for each other and for them." With renewed determination, the Porters restructured their lives once again. They hired a part-time house manager to handle day-to-day logistics, freeing up more time for family moments. Amelia scaled back on outside commitments, focusing on her health and the kids. And James, ever the problem solver, found creative ways to make life easier, like building a backyard activity zone where the kids could burn off energy while staying close to home. The changes brought a new sense of balance to their lives. The kids thrived. Their home buzzed with laughter and love, and Amelia and James rediscovered the partnership that had carried them through so much. Life was still messy and unpredictable, but the Porters had learned to embrace the chaos. And as they stood together in their backyard one evening, watching their children chase each other under the glow of string lights, Amelia whispered to James, "We're doing okay, aren't we?" He smiled, squeezing her hand. "We're doing more than okay. We're building something incredible." As the years rolled on, the Porters found themselves navigating the ever-changing seasons of their remarkable life. The toddlers grew into curious, energetic children, each carving out their unique place within the tapestry of their family. Birthdays became a spectacle of organized chaos, and the once impossible logistics of their household became a familiar routine. Yet every new phase brought its own challenges, reminding Amelia and James that their journey was far from ordinary. When the children started middle school, the realities of raising 13 preteens hit like a tidal wave. Hormones, friendships, school projects, and extracurricular activities filled their days to the brim. James took on the role of family chauffeur, spending hours driving the kids to soccer games, science fairs, and music lessons. Meanwhile, Amelia juggled coordinating schedules, meal planning, and supporting the kids through the inevitable growing pains of adolescence. Despite their best efforts, cracks occasionally appeared in their seemingly unshakable foundation. Lily, now a teenager, struggled with the pressures of being the eldest. "I love them," she admitted one evening, "but sometimes I feel like I'm just one of the herd." Amelia's heart sank. She had always feared that Lily would feel overshadowed by her siblings. Determined to make things right, Amelia planned a weekend getaway, just the two of them. They spent 2 days at a quiet lakeside cabin, fishing, hiking, and reminiscing about the simpler days when it had just been the three of them. "You're not just one of the herd," Amelia assured her as they sat by the fire, roasting marshmallows. "You're the reason we became a family. You're our rock, Lily, and you always will be." The trip strengthened their bond, and Lily returned home more confident, ready to tackle her role as the unofficial captain of the Porter team. Meanwhile, the younger children flourished in their unique ways. Freya developed a talent for art, filling the house with colorful drawings and paintings. Leo became the class clown, his quick wit and humor a constant source of laughter. Each child had their own strengths, quirks, and challenges, and Amelia and James worked tirelessly to ensure none of them felt lost in the crowd. Amelia's health remained a concern, But she had learned to live within her limits, embracing a slower pace when necessary. She found joy in the small moments, reading bedtime stories, cheering at soccer games, and watching her children grow into individuals who were as unique as their beginnings. The family's turning point came when the 13 Miracles, the documentary that had once captured their struggles, was revisited by a film crew for an update. The producers wanted to see how the family had evolved over the years. This time, Amelia and James felt more in control. They approached the project with confidence, eager to share not just the challenges but the triumphs of their journey. The updated documentary, 13 Miracles, the next chapter, painted a portrait of resilience, love, and the power of family. It showed the laughter, the tears, the fights, and the forgiveness that defined the Porters' lives. Viewers were moved by how the family had turned their chaos into a symphony of togetherness, and the documentary became a symbol of hope for families everywhere. As the documentary aired, the Porters received messages from all over the world. Parents of multiples, families facing struggles, and individuals who had once judged them reached out to express their admiration and gratitude. For Amelia and James, it was a reminder that their story, while extraordinary, was deeply human. Years later, as the children began leaving for college and starting their own lives, Amelia and James found themselves in a quieter home. The bustling chaos had given way to a gentler rhythm, but the echoes of laughter and love remained. On their 25th wedding anniversary, the entire family gathered in the backyard for a celebration. 13 young adults stood before them, each unique, each thriving, each a testament to the love that had carried them through the hardest of times. As the sun set and the string lights cast a warm glow over the gathering, James raised a glass. "To Amelia," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "The woman who carried the weight of this family, literally and figuratively, with more grace and strength than I ever thought possible. And to our children who taught us that love grows infinitely, no matter how impossible it may seem." Amelia smiled through tears, her gaze sweeping over the faces of her family. "To all of us," she said softly, "because this is what makes it all worth it." The Porters' story was one of extraordinary beginnings, unimaginable challenges, and a love that grew stronger with every test. And as the family laughed, danced, and celebrated under the stars, Amelia knew one thing for certain. They had built something incredible, something that would endure for generations to come. Their journey wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was theirs, and it was beautiful.